Jim has got some great material on that for downsized DC to do away with it at the federal level. We're working at the state level. So I'm going to skip ahead here to being effective politically. One other thing I do want to talk about, the Second Amendment, Keith's work. My friend John Hallman tracked 15 bills dealing with the Second Amendment. 14 of them had good outcomes for liberty. The one that was bad was House Bill 1355, which gave doctors a lot of leeway on people with gun permits and being able to have guns. We think too much leeway. That was the bad one. But everything else, stand your ground was attacked quite a bit. You all know the situation in Central Florida with the young man that was killed. And unfortunately, something like that, something like Sandy Hook, something like Aurora, the shootings take place. And that knee starts jerking. We're the government. We have to do something to keep us safe. And invariably, something that gets done is too much. We'll talk about the legislative process. Bills start as ideas. Somebody will have an idea in Collier County that we need to straighten out this educational system. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's ask the federal government to help because they've got all the money. So here comes this Common Core thing, and we're going to say that the round hole in Colorado is the exact same size as the round hole in Collier County, Florida. We all know for a fact it's not. But then there's this string that comes in with that federal money. And whenever you hear the term federal money, always correct whoever's saying that. No, it's taxpayer money. Be clear on that. I speak to my little county commission in Jefferson County, Florida, a county of 14,000 people, God's country, thank you. And the topic here was religion, so I'm going to mention God every now and again. I talked to our 5 county commissioners. I started doing so in December of 2010. I'm on a first-name basis with them. I came down here, Keith, Chuck, Marnie, you all had the good fortune to be able to provide for me to come down here to speak about the red light cameras in Collier County. I talked for 35 minutes. One of your commissioners had the uncivility to get up and walk out because he didn't care to hear what I had to say, but the others listened and got a 3-2 vote to do away with them. So that's local citizens being involved. These ideas get going and they get into the legislative process. One thing I'm going to harp on is a legislative delegation. You might not know what that is, but that is Tallahassee coming to you. You will have a legislative delegation several months before your legislative session starts up. You're going to have every state senator, every House representative, state representative that has a district that touches your county will be in one place at one time, and you have access to them for free. You go in there, you fill out a speaker card, and you tell them what you want to tell them. I go to the ones in North Florida, and they know me, again. They know what I'm going to talk about, and I go up there and I pitch my bills. I write bills as a lobbyist. I started writing bills as a taxpayer, I still do, on things like the real ID, the driver's license. If anybody's ever had to do that, especially if I see women in the audience, if you're married and divorced, you know it's a ringer that they put you through. The red light cameras has been another issue because of my law enforcement background. I deal with a lot of these transportation type of legislative issues. My lobbying partner is John Hallman. He's been at it for 11 years. I've only been at it for 3. John showed me how to do it, taught me a lot of the ropes about this. A legislative delegation is a key thing for you to do locally because you don't, from here, you don't have to travel 400 miles to Tallahassee. You don't have to worry about a motel room. Once an idea is brought forth, you get a legislator to sponsor it and introduce to specific terms. Now this is where the foreign language comes in. Legislatees is what I call it. One of my favorite things is when the red light camera bill came about, I tried to find it because on the legislature's website, you can go to the bills page and do a keyword search. And quite honestly, this last session, there were almost 2,000 bills filed between the House and the Senate. The Read the Bill Act that Joe talked about at Congress, bless their hearts, they can't do it physically, so obviously they have their staffers read it. They even have the summaries done by their committees, and that's really what everybody reads. And if those are skewed, then we're kind of screwed, because if the summary is not correct, that's what most of the legislators are reading. So they do not put things in plain English. A red light camera in the statute is a traffic infraction detector. Now what's the difference between a traffic infraction detector and a red light camera? As a former trooper, I can tell you a traffic infraction involves things like improper backing, speeding, railroad crossing, careless driving, following too closely, and running red lights. So you've got language there that allows this red light camera to do many things down the road. And I always try to keep a vision of how things are going to go when I read bills and when I write bills. The The average person cannot understand a lot of what's in these bills. Once they're drafted and filed, it takes place in the House and the Senate. The bill is reviewed by leadership, and the leadership in our House and Senate is what's called a dynasty, because they've got 60 days every year to pass these almost 2,000 bills, or to weed them out, because they're not going to deal with 2,000 bills. They have committee chairs that are appointed by leadership. The dynasty, the